The year is changing. But before you rush forward, before you make promises you won't keep, before you chase another version of success that leaves you empty, pause. Because the most important shift you can make in 2026 is not external, it's internal. This moment you're in right now is not accidental. You didn't find this message by chance. Something in you already knows that living the same way will not bring a different life. You may not feel panic. You may not feel urgency. What you feel is quieter than that. A knowing. A realization that it's time to stop reacting and start living deliberately. The Stoics believed that life does not improve by accident. It improves by alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your actions, and your values. If you're here to build that alignment, if you're here to live 2026 with clarity, strength, and inner peace, then consider this your invitation. Subscribe to this channel and share this message with someone who needs it. Not for numbers, not for algorithms, but because wisdom only matters when it's lived and passed on. Now, let's begin. The Stoic question that defines 2026. Most people enter a new year asking the wrong question. They ask, what do I want to achieve? What do I want to gain? What do I want to become? The Stoics asked something far more powerful. What must I stop giving my energy to? Because your life is not shaped by what you want, it's shaped by what you tolerate. In 2025, you may have tolerated noise, distraction, other people's expectations, your own unchecked emotions. And slowly, without noticing, you gave your power away. Epictetus warned us of this centuries ago. He said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." What he meant was simple. The moment you live for approval, you stop living for truth. And 2026 cannot be another year of living on autopilot. The first Stoic practice for the new year. Awareness. Before discipline, before goals, before routines, there is awareness. Most suffering does not come from life itself. It comes from unexamined reactions. You feel anger and act immediately. You feel fear and retreat. You feel discomfort and distract yourself. The Stoic does something radically different. They pause. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This year, your power begins in the pause. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. That space is where your freedom lives. What you must leave behind in 2026. You cannot carry everything into a new year. Some things must be released. The Stoics were ruthless about this, not emotionally cold, but mentally precise. In 2026, you must leave behind the need to control what is not yours, the habit of explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, the belief that peace comes after success. Peace comes before success. Because a disturbed mind cannot build a strong life. What comes next is the foundation of Stoic strength. The dichotomy of control, the single principle that can remove most anxiety from your life. Up next, we'll break it down slowly, clearly, and practically, so you can carry it into every day of 2026. Stay with me. There is a single line that separates a peaceful life from a restless one. Most people never see it. They cross it every day without knowing. The Stoics called it the dichotomy of control. Epictetus stated it plainly. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's it. Not a metaphor, not poetry, a law of life. And yet, almost all human suffering comes from confusing these two categories. What is actually in your control? Very little. And that realization is not depressing, it's freeing. You do not control outcomes. You do not control other people. You do not control the past. You do not control how your efforts are received. What you control is this: your judgments, your intentions, your effort, your character. That's the entire list. Everything else is borrowed. Why most people live in constant tension? Think about where your anxiety comes from. Not from effort, but from expectation. You do the work and demand a result. You speak honestly and demand understanding. You give your best and demand recognition. The moment you demand what is not yours to command, you create suffering. Marcus Aurelius warned himself of this constantly. He wrote, "Do not tie your peace to the behavior of others." Because the world does not owe you alignment. It only responds to your actions. The Stoic replacement for worry. Worry is not preparation. It is resistance pretending to be strategy. When you worry, you are trying to control the future without having any authority over it. The Stoic replaces worry with focused action. Ask yourself this in 2026. What part of this is mine? If it's your effort, give it fully. If it's your attitude, steady it. If it's not yours, release it. That release is not weakness, it is precision. Control versus mastery. Most people confuse control with strength. They think strength means forcing outcomes. But forcing outcomes creates fragility. The Stoic seeks mastery, not dominance. Mastery means acting well even when the result is uncertain, remaining calm when plans fail, maintaining dignity when misunderstood. Seneca said, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." Most pain is premature. How this changes your entire year. When you live by the dichotomy of control, something subtle happens. You stop rushing. You stop defending yourself constantly. You stop needing life to go a certain way to feel okay. You still work. You still plan. You still care deeply. But you no longer carry outcomes like a burden. That's when clarity replaces anxiety. A Stoic practice for 2026. Each morning, ask yourself one question. What is truly mine today? Your effort, your honesty, your restraint. And each evening, ask another. Where did I waste energy on what was never mine? No judgment, no shame, only correction. This is how Stoics improve, quietly, daily, relentlessly. Control clears the mind. But emotional mastery builds the fortress. Now, you'll learn how Stoics work with emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. We'll talk about anger, fear, desire, and anxiety, and how to stop them from ruling your decisions in 2026. Stay present. This is where strength deepens. Most people believe emotions happen to them. That anger arrives uninvited, that fear attacks without warning, that anxiety controls the day. The Stoics saw it differently. They believed emotions are visitors, not rulers. You don't stop them from arriving, but you decide how long they stay and what authority they are given. Why Stoics do not suppress emotion. Stoicism is often misunderstood. It is not emotional numbness. It is not coldness. It is not pretending you feel nothing. Marcus Aurelius felt anger. Seneca felt grief. Epictetus felt fear. What separated them was not the absence of emotion, but the refusal to be ruled by it. They understood one core truth. Emotions follow judgments. Not events, not people, not circumstances. Judgments. The moment emotion is born, something happens. A comment, a delay, a loss. That event is neutral. What comes next is the turning point. You tell yourself a story. They disrespected me. This shouldn't have happened. I can't handle this. And the emotion follows the story. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Change the estimate, and the emotion loses its grip." Anger, the fastest emotion to corrupt judgment. Anger feels powerful. That's why it's dangerous. Anger tells you to act now, to speak now, to correct now. But the Stoic understands something critical. No decision made in anger is ever your best one. Seneca warned, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." In 2026, anger will test you. Your power is not in suppressing it. Your power is in delaying action. Pause, breathe, reevaluate the judgment. Most anger dissolves when it is denied immediate obedience. Fear, a signal, not a sentence. Fear is misunderstood. It is not a verdict. It is information. Fear says, "Something matters here." The Stoic does not flee fear. They investigate it. What exactly am I afraid of? Is this within my control? Am I afraid of pain or of perception? Epictetus reminded us, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." When fear is examined, it often shrinks. Anxiety, living in a future that does not exist. Anxiety is the misuse of imagination. It drags your mind into futures you are not required to live in. The Stoic brings the mind back to this breath, to this step, to this moment of choice. You cannot act in tomorrow. You can only act now. And right now, you are capable. The inner fortress. The Stoics called this mastery the inner citadel. Not a place you escape to, a place you return to. It is built through repetition. Every time you pause instead of react. Every time you question a judgment. Every time you choose restraint over impulse. A wall is strengthened. A Stoic practice for 2026. When an emotion rises this year, ask, what judgment created this? Not to blame yourself, but to reclaim authorship. You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. That awareness is the beginning of freedom. Emotional mastery stabilizes the mind, but discipline gives it direction. Moving forward, we'll talk about daily structure, mental order, and how Stoics build routines that support clarity instead of draining it. This is where calm becomes consistent. Peace does not survive chaos. No matter how wise you are, a disordered life will slowly erode clarity. The Stoics understood this deeply. That's why they didn't rely on motivation. They relied on structure. Because motivation fades, but routine remains. Why Stoics value discipline? Discipline is often misunderstood. It's not punishment, it's protection. Protection from impulse, from distraction, from emotional drift. Marcus Aurelius woke before dawn, not because he enjoyed discomfort, but because order strengthened his mind. He wrote to himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, and tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." Discipline, to the Stoic, was an act of respect for life itself. The Stoic approach to routine. Stoics didn't obsess over complex systems. They focused on consistency. A few simple practices done every day with intention. In 2026, your routine should answer 3 questions. How do I prepare my mind? How do I direct my energy? How do I review my actions? Nothing more is required. The Stoic morning. Preparation. The Stoic morning is quiet. Before the world speaks, you speak to yourself. Marcus Aurelius practiced Premeditatio Malorum, the anticipation of difficulty. Not to create fear, but resilience. Each morning, remind yourself, today I may encounter impatience, ingratitude, delay. This is not an injustice, it is part of life. Prepared minds are rarely shocked. The Stoic day, direction. Stoics did not multitask endlessly. They focused on what was essential. One task, one action, done with full presence. Seneca warned against busyness. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. In 2026, measure your days not by activity, but by alignment. Ask yourself, is this worthy of my attention? The Stoic evening. Review. At night, the Stoic looks inward. Not with guilt, not with pride, but with honesty. Seneca described this practice clearly. Each evening he asked, what did I do well? Where did I fall short? What can I improve tomorrow? This reflection is how character sharpens itself. Discipline without rigidity. Stoicism is not rigidity. It allows flexibility without chaos. You will fail some days. You will drift. You will forget. The Stoic does not collapse under this. They correct and continue. Consistency is not perfection. It is return. A Stoic practice for 2026. Build one non-negotiable ritual. Morning or evening, choose one. 5 minutes, silence, reflection. This small anchor will stabilize the rest of your life. Discipline creates order, but true freedom comes from detachment. We'll explore silence, detachment from approval, and why Stoics gain power by needing less. This is where independence begins. Most people do not lose their peace because of events. They lose it because of opinions. Opinions they chase. Opinions they fear. Opinions they allow to shape their self-worth. The Stoics recognized this as one of the most subtle forms of slavery. To live at the mercy of how others see you. Why approval is a dangerous drug. Approval feels harmless, encouraging, motivating, but the Stoics warned that anything you depend on can be taken from you. The moment your peace depends on praise, you surrender control. Epictetus said, "If you want to be invincible, make no treaty with what is not under your control." Other people's opinions are never under your control. The Stoic power of silence. Silence is not weakness. It is restraint. Most people speak to defend themselves, to explain, to correct, to be understood. The Stoic understands something sharper. Not every misunderstanding requires a response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Silence is often the choice not to participate in chaos. When silence is stronger than speech. Silence becomes power when you are dealing with someone committed to misunderstanding you. You are tempted to speak from emotion rather than reason. You realize explaining yourself will not bring peace. The Stoic does not argue for validation. They let character speak over time. Reputation is what people say. Character is what you repeatedly do. Only one of these is yours. Detachment without disconnection. Detachment does not mean isolation. It means not clinging. The Stoics loved deeply. They worked diligently. They served society. But they did not attach their identity to outcomes or applause. Seneca warned, "He who hangs on too tightly to life loses the courage to live." In 2026, practice engaging fully while expecting nothing. This is freedom. The quiet confidence of needing less. The less you need, the harder you are to control. Needing less praise, less reassurance, less agreement. The Stoic does not announce their strength. They embody it. Calm, measured, unprovoked. This quiet confidence naturally commands respect without ever asking for it. A Stoic practice for 2026. Before speaking this year, pause and ask, is this necessary? Is this coming from reason or emotion? Will this add clarity or noise? Often, the strongest move is no move at all. Detachment frees the mind, but life will still bring pain. Loss, failure, disappointment. We'll explore Amor, Fati, the Stoic art of using hardship as fuel rather than resistance. This is where resilience becomes unbreakable. Life will test you in 2026. Not because you failed, not because you chose the wrong path, but because challenge is part of being alive. The Stoics did not hope for an easy life. They prepared for a meaningful one. And at the center of that preparation was a radical idea. Amor Fati. What Amor Fati really means. Amor Fati is often translated as love of fate. But this does not mean passive acceptance. It means active agreement with reality. Not just enduring what happens. Not just tolerating it. But choosing to use it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is Amor Fati. Nothing is wasted. Why resistance creates suffering. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is optional. Suffering begins when you argue with reality. This shouldn't have happened. This isn't fair. This ruined my plans. The Stoic asks a different question. How can this serve me? The moment you stop resisting, energy returns. Using obstacles as training. The Stoics saw obstacles as training weights. Difficulty builds endurance. Delay builds patience. Loss builds perspective. Marcus Aurelius summarized it perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In 2026, do not ask for lighter burdens. Build stronger shoulders. When life takes, Stoicism returns. There will be moments when life removes something from you. A relationship, an opportunity, a version of yourself. The Stoic remembers. Nothing was owned, everything was entrusted. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Grief may arrive. Let it pass through. But do not let bitterness remain. Amor Fati in daily life. Amor Fati is practiced in small moments. When plans fall apart. When effort is unnoticed. When progress is slower than expected. Instead of frustration, say, "This is training." Instead of resentment, say, "This is shaping me." This mindset turns setbacks into strength. A Stoic practice for 2026. When something difficult happens, pause and ask, "What is this teaching me? What part of me is being strengthened?" Do not rush the lesson. Let it complete its work. This is how resilience is forged. Amor Fati gives meaning to pain. But there is one final Stoic reminder that brings urgency and clarity to everything you've learned. We'll confront Memento Mori, the awareness of mortality that sharpens focus and strips away trivial concerns. This is not about fear. It's about living fully. There is a truth that removes illusion instantly. A truth that ends procrastination. A truth that silences trivial worries. A truth the Stoics returned to daily. You will not be here forever. Not next year, not someday, but eventually, and sooner than you expect. This is not morbid. It is clarifying. Why Stoics contemplated death? The Stoics did not fixate on death to feel small. They remembered death to feel awake. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Memento Mori is not about fear of dying. It is about fear of not living. What death reminds you to release. When you remember your time is limited, many things lose their grip. Petty arguments, unnecessary resentment, endless comparison. Ask yourself honestly, will this matter in 5 years? Will it matter on my last day? Most things fall away when viewed through this lens. Mortality creates priority. You do not have time for everything. And that is not a loss. It is a filter. Memento Mori teaches you to choose deliberately. Who deserves your attention? What deserves your energy? What deserves your devotion? Seneca warned, life is long if you know how to use it. Most people don't lack time. They lack focus. How Memento Mori changes 2026. When you carry this awareness, your behavior changes quietly. You speak more honestly. You delay less. You forgive faster. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. Because the perfect moment does not exist. Only this one does. Memento Mori is not about rushing. This awareness does not mean panic. It means presence. You do not need to do more. You need to do what matters, fully. The Stoic does not race against time. They walk with intention. A Stoic practice for 2026. Once a day, remind yourself quietly, this day will not return. Let that guide how you speak, how you act, how you treat others. This is not heavy. It is grounding. You now understand how Stoics think, how they feel, how they act. All that remains is integration. In the final part, we'll bring everything together, how to live Stoicism daily in 2026, and how to carry this mindset forward with purpose and calm. This is where wisdom becomes life. You've now heard the ideas: control, emotional mastery, discipline, detachment, acceptance, mortality. But Stoicism is not something you listen to. It is something you practice. The Stoic life is quiet. The Stoic life will not make you loud. It will make you steady. You will still face pressure, still experience loss, still feel emotion, but you will no longer be dragged by these things. You will move through them with composure. What it means to live stoically in 2026. To live stoically in 2026 means focusing on effort, not outcome. Responding instead of reacting. Choosing silence over unnecessary conflict. Accepting hardship as training. Treating time as precious, not endless. These are not grand gestures. They are small decisions made consistently. Stoicism is a daily return. You will forget. You will slip. You will react when you meant to pause. This does not mean you failed. Stoicism is not about never falling. It is about returning, again and again, to what matters. Each return strengthens character. The kind of person you become. Over time, something changes. You speak less, but with more weight. You react less, but act more deliberately. You need less validation and feel more grounded. People may not understand you. That's fine. Peace does not require agreement. Entering the new year. As you step into 2026, carry this with you. You do not control the world, but you do control how you meet it. With clarity, with restraint, with courage. This is enough. If this message brought you clarity, if it helped you slow down, reflect, or see the year ahead more clearly, consider subscribing and sharing this video. Not for numbers, not for trends, but because wisdom grows when it's passed on. Someone you know may need this reminder as they enter the new year. Take a breath. Move forward calmly. And remember, you do not need to control life to live it well. Live with intention. Live with virtue. Live stoically.